6, 1-1 Alpha. We're setting up BP West now.
1-1 Alpha, roger. 1-2, you're released.
This isn't Arma, this isn't Squad, and this isn't just some mod. This is Bellum, a brand new tactical shooter built in Unreal Engine 5 and set in one of the most underrepresented locations in all of gaming, Africa. And if you're wondering just where this game even came from, it's apparently been KarmaCut's best kept secret. Yes, one of the OG tactical shooter YouTubers is putting his money where his mouth is and has decided to step up into the world of game dev. But he's not doing it alone. Bellum is being led by the devs at Astarte Industries, a team created from games like Arma, Squad, Ready or Not, and Ground Branch. This is an incredibly impressive resume, and after seeing this trailer as well as checking out all the info that's currently available on the game, I think we're about to get something incredibly special and incredibly refreshing. Now, although this trailer is just a small teaser, everything I'm already seeing here on the website, on Discord, it's making me think that this might be the perfect combination of Squad and Arma and will completely shake up the tactical shooter space. So let's talk about what we know. Bellum is stated to be a realistic FPS with authentic gunplay, platoon-scale strategic planning, and squad-level tactical execution. Designed to create intense firefights, Bellum demands that players apply real-world tactics and coordinate as a team. Teamwork and communication are paramount. Our project features realistic command and control tools, intricate medical aid mechanics, and the operation of two-man machine gun, mortar, and rocket launcher teams. To me, this reads as a game that will have about the same player scale as something like Squad, which is also a platoon shooter, so something like the 100-player servers, 50 on 50 games, or maybe even 128 players like what we see in Arma Reforger. Either way, expect squad-level comms as well as command-level comms as well to maintain organization on your team. But where Bellum is definitely differentiating itself is the realism aspect, and I think they're going to make this even more immersive than something like Arma due to the implementation of actual crew-served weapons. In almost every FPS game I can think of, machine gunners are a solo kit. You get the big MG, you plop it down, and you go at it. But in Bellum, you're actually part of an MG team with an assistant gunner. These assistant gunners are the ones carrying your bipod, your extra barrels, all the ammo, they help set up, they help take down, they help the machine gun move as quick as possible, and they also keep the fire on the right target. Whereas the gunner will actually be using the machine gun, the assistant gunners typically have a rifle to defend themselves, but would rarely be firing it when the MG is operating. We can see that here in these promo images that an assistant is right on top of the MG helping direct that fire, and in this image here, the assistant also has a long-range optic while the 240 has a hollow sight, so do assume you won't be able to effectively run these roles without two people. But this also makes me think that you can use other players' weapons. An assistant gunner is also someone who will take over in case that gunner does go down. So perhaps we do have the ability, like in Arma, where you can actually just pick up a weapon from the ground and start firing it. This is cool, and this type of teamwork-oriented gameplay will also be included for RPG teams, most likely main gunners and assistants with extra RPGs in their pack, as well as mortar teams, which could possibly have lighter mortar tubes and ammo broken down and carried along their fellow infantry squad. I absolutely love this idea, and apart from the knee mortars I've seen in Squad 44 or the old support role in Battlefield 1, mobile mortars aren't typically something you get to use in video games, and you're usually restricted to larger emplacements stuck on something like a fob. This is new, it's interesting, and I think will make for a much better experience. Now, when it comes to medical, based on what we're seeing, I'm thinking this will be a bit like Arma's ACE medical system. If you're not familiar with ACE, it's a pretty in-depth way of dealing with injuries, allowing players to inspect certain body parts, apply things like tourniquets, blood bags, administer morphine or epinephrine, and essentially do what soldiers might really do to help with casualties in actual combat situations. It's far more immersive than just whipping out a bandage and reviving someone like you see in Squad, and although it may seem intimidating at first, this type of gameplay really makes it a lot of fun, especially if you get hit. In Arma, not only can you get knocked out and pick back up from someone if you do go unconscious and they have the right tools, but you can also come to yourself, which does give you a chance to patch yourself up or find a medic. But this medical question also brings up another question. How can you have in-depth medical systems without customizable kits? Do I just get a medic loadout? Can I pick and choose what type of meds I want to bring for my squad? Can I go full medic and do everything? Or maybe I just want a couple things of morphine and some bandages, a tourniquet, so that way I can have a quick fix and wait for someone specialized. Well, unlike Squad, there will be customization to some degree, including customizable weapons. The devs do state that they're focused on core gameplay first, so perhaps at the beginning we will get just basic loadouts, and as development continues, we'll get that ARMA level of pre-deployment customization. But either way, this confirmation of customizable loadouts is a huge win for everyone who likes the idea of Squad's role or kit system, but wishes they were able to make their rifle or even what they're carrying in their inventory a little bit more suited and individualized. That also brings us to the factions. We see it in the trailer and promo shots, but it is confirmed that there will be the US forces, Russian forces, and African rebels. The first 3 factions will be the 75th Rangers Regiment, Russian PMCs, which will most likely be based around Wagner's troops in Africa, and African rebels, which appear to be a bit like the insurgents in Squad, just in Africa. For conventional forces, we see standard weapons like M4 and AK platforms, including various optics, suppressors, foregrips, lasers, and sidearms, while rebels look to have the standard old Russian military equipment like AK-47s, RPDs, and perhaps other rifles like Dragunovs or SKSs. But we're also going to be getting some new weaponry that I'm really excited to get my hands on. This here is the GM94, a forward pump grenade launcher used by the Russian Special Forces. The GM94 fires a special 43x30mm low velocity grenade round that can be high explosive, fragmentation, and even thermobaric. It's not often you see this type of variety in tactical shooters, but this grenade launcher alone has me excited for the potential weaponry we'll eventually get in Bellum. But it also brings into question what type of actual equipment we'll be getting to use. ARMA is notorious for having a lot of in-depth mechanics, and one thing I did notice was this form of a heads-up display in this image here. Now, it could just be promotional, but I've actually seen this type of GPS in Karma's ARMA videos, so I'm guessing this will act a bit like our minimap. Now, the teaser trailer also has this same type of display, and one thing that you notice in a lot of Karma's videos is that the map experience is so much more immersive than something you get in Squad. It doesn't just pop up, fly on your screen. It's actually part of your kit. You interact with it. It works a lot better, making you feel like you're actually in the game. But this right here is just great to see from an immersion perspective. We're also going to be getting some form of advanced electronic warfare capabilities. Once again, if we take a look at ARMA, we can see that players can perform certain operations like jamming radios, or as I love doing in Arma Reforger, even picking up a radio from a dead enemy and using that to listen in on their comms. There's a wide range of potential with this, but one thing we know for sure is that drones will be included. And this is such a hot topic right now that they even included it in the FAQ on Discord. Does that mean we'll be getting both reconnaissance and first-person drones? Well, with how combat is evolving and seeing how these drones have already been modded into games like Arma, as well as included in other upcoming Ukraine war games, I would bet my money on yes. Imagine instead of being like an anti-tank player or maybe sapper or combat engineer, you instead rock up with drone equipment to support your team. And we'd even talk about night vision. We can see in almost all of these images that most of the players actually have night vision attached to their helmets. We have shots that look like they're low light, so maybe dawn or dusk, but there is a high potential for actual night missions, or maybe even a skybox that goes from day to night. This is a very common mechanic in Arma, and especially with the most recent Arma Reforger games, players want to make sure that they are prepared for both daytime and nighttime warfare. Now for vehicles, it does look like we're going to be getting a little bit more of the lighter ones. The devs confirmed that there will eventually be transport vehicles like APCs and helicopters, but they were very careful in specifying that these are transports. I highly doubt we're going to be getting anything like Bradley IFVs, BMPs, tanks, Apaches, jets, all that stuff. Think more like M113 APCs, maybe a Striker or a BTR-80, MRAPs or Tiger armored cars, things that are light, things that are mobile, and easily destroyed. This also means that we probably won't be getting things like ATGM emplacements or Stingers, and the handheld AT will more than likely be restricted to things like RPG-7 heat rounds, AT-4s, or LAWs. Maybe the Rebels get an SPG, but that's really the extent of what I'd think we'd see. Now, this isn't a bad thing by any means, and some of the most fun I've had in games like Squad or Arma is when you get into that perfect blend of infantry and light armor support, or you simply rock up to an objective and dismount in an APC. I'd much rather have this engaging and fun infantry firefight experience than worrying about the potential balance or maybe imbalances that come with including things like Abrams, T-72s, combat aircraft, and all that stuff. But when it comes to actual gameplay, apart from this teaser and everything I'm inferring from knowledge of Karmacut, his videos, the games he does enjoy playing, and the devs on the project, we don't really have too much more to go off of. However, there are a few other key things that may interest you. First off, Bellum will have some form of progression system, but to what extent, we're currently unsure. I wouldn't be surprised if we got something a bit like Hell at Loose's system, where you can unlock more usable weapons depending on the experience you gain playing that specific role, but it could also just be a cosmetic thing where you might just see a special rank. The devs do specify that there may be microtransactions in the future to ensure long-term funding and a successful game, but the goal of unparalleled authenticity and realism will always be a priority. Monetization will never give players the advantage of others. This is reassuring and confirms that, at the very least, pay-to-win features will not be included and progression should be grounded in reality. And if you're also wondering on what platforms as well as what type of specs you might need, well, console players, I'm sorry, but it looks like Bellum will be PC only. And right out the gate, the devs are letting you know that you're going to need good equipment to play it. Honestly, I respect that, and with a game that's looking as good as it does right now, being built in UE5, I'm happy to see them focus on high quality graphics and immersive gaming. If you're one of the ones that I know are rocking a GTX 960 and just kind of chugging along, it might be time to upgrade a few of those PC parts that you've been putting off for years. This game looks beautiful, the images, the trailer, everything I'm seeing about Bellum is incredibly refreshing, and I'm just excited to see where it goes. But that's about it. This is everything we know about Bellum: weapons, factions, vehicles, the locale. I am pumped. But what do you guys think? Are you excited for a new way to play tactical shooters? Do you like Africa as location? Are you excited about these weapons like the GM94, or requiring 2 players to run a machine gun effectively? Or maybe you're waiting to see a bit more information. Let me know down in the comments below, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. But that's it for me. Until next time, peace.